Yo, what is going on, guys? I hope you're all having a great day today, because today we're going to be talking about Doom the Dark Ages yet again. I actually just finished getting all of my guns gold in Doom the Dark Ages. It was a pretty lengthy process. Not as lengthy as Eternal, but still a lengthy process. But that brings us to the topic of today's video, comparing Eternal to the Dark Ages. Because I saw on Twitter today that Doom the Dark Ages is not even performing half of what Eternal did, which is very shocking because I really enjoyed this game. I thought it was an absolute blast. However, I do think Eternal's the better game, I gotta be honest. But this one isn't far behind. But a lot of people on Twitter were talking about this article, so I thought I'd go ahead and give my thoughts. Doom the Dark Ages Day 1 numbers suffered significantly on one platform versus Doom Eternal. Yeah, we don't know the console numbers, so we're just going to have to use the PC numbers. I know people don't like when you do that, but the truth is you have to use the metrics you're given. People have gotten mad at me before by saying things like, oh, what about Game Pass numbers? What about PlayStation numbers? And you mean those numbers I can't fucking count? It's like, come on, man. Doom the Dark Ages is already shaping up to be an interesting case. When reviews dropped, it became one of the highest rated games in franchise history, but as things stand after a day, it has the lowest user review score on Steam of the reboot trilogy, although there is plenty of time to turn this around. Yeah, this is actually very shocking to hear. I didn't expect it to have as high of a review score as Eternal, because I just think Eternal's a better game, I'll be honest with you. But I think this game is a lot better than 2016, so I don't know why it has the lowest user review score out of the entire reboot trilogy, so let's go take a look. The game has a 85% positive review score, which actually lines up perfectly to what I give the game out of 10 when I reviewed it in my past video. I gave it an 8.5. So it lines up pretty well. Doom 2016 is sitting at a 95% positive rating, which is insane. Doom Eternal, on the other hand, is sitting at a 91%, which is still really good. Both are kinda considerably higher than the Dark Ages, so I don't know what's going on here. Maybe it's because they've been out for longer. But let's go ahead and actually take a look at some of the reviews for Doom the Dark Ages and see what the main complaints are. Obviously after that we'll go back to reading the article, but I actually want to look deep into this, so, let's take a look. We're just gonna go over the first 5 negative reviews I see. Now, we're not going to go over the full reviews. I will give a very short summary of what the review says. You can pause it if you really want to read it, but I wouldn't really recommend it. I'm not trying to keep you guys here all day. The first guy played 1.6 hours, and he says the reason why he's leaving a negative review is not because of the gameplay itself, but rather because Denuvo crapped out and basically wouldn't let him play his early access copy of the game. It kept failing the license or something like that, and he can't play. It went on for like 48 hours. Completely valid reason to leave a negative review in my opinion. I don't know why people are putting clown emotes. The next guy has about 7 hours, and he says he doesn't like the game because it's very controller focused, and there's a lot of emphasis on shield combos, which he doesn't like. He'd rather a run and gun game. This next guy put in about 17 hours, and he says he doesn't think the game is bad, but he doesn't recommend it. He says he finds the mech and dragon segments cool, but very boring. He also doesn't like that there's a lot of hunting required for secrets if you want to upgrade your weapons. And he says he's kinda mixed on the game. This guy says it's a mixed bag for him. He really likes the game, but it's very broken for him. And this is definitely a common complaint I've seen. I saw Moist Critical try to play this game, and he was like constantly crashing, so I mean it depends on the person. Some people are having a really hard time with this game, and that will definitely put them off from playing it or leaving a positive review. Now this next guy, he only played 0.1 hours, so part of me thinks he couldn't boot the game, especially considering what he left for his review. I don't think ray tracing should be a requirement, is basically his review. So this is likely someone who wanted to play on like a 1080 Ti or something and couldn't because of the ray tracing requirement. Either that, or he was someone who could play the game but had very poor performance because of the ray tracing, and I think forced ray tracing is not a good thing for the industry, so this is completely valid. I mean, this game does look a bit better than Eternal, but it's not 5 times worse performance better looking, if you get what I mean. But those are the reviews. A couple of them talked about the actual game, but a lot of people were upset over things surrounding the game, like Denuvo, bugs and glitches, forced ray tracing, stuff like that. But let's go ahead and get back to the actual article, now that we know why reviews are lower. Its Steam reviews aren't the only place where the game is falling behind its predecessor either. Doom the Dark Ages had a significantly quieter launch day on the platform than 2020's Doom Eternal. Doom the Dark Ages Day 1 Steam player count hasn't come close to Doom Eternal, which honestly is kind of expected considering how much harder it is to run than Doom Eternal. Doom Eternal didn't have forced ray tracing, Doom the Dark Ages does, so a lot of people who are still sticking to their 1080 Ti's, they're not able to play this game. People with GTX cards are not able to play this game, and to those who are able to play this game, it definitely has a lot worse performance than Eternal did when it first came out. I had a 2070 Super when Doom Eternal came out, and that shit ran like a dream. The 2070 Super came out in like 2017 and was a mid-range card. Doom Eternal came out 2 years after. However, here I am with a 4070 on Doom the Dark Ages, and I'm able to get alright frame rates, but nothing like I got in Eternal. Yesterday, according to SteamDB, Doom the Dark Ages peaked at 30,812 players. On Doom Eternal's launch day in March 2020, the game peaked at 104,891 players. This means Doom the Dark Ages only hit around 30% of the player count Eternal managed on Steam at launch. Even Doom 2016 bettered the Dark Ages Day 1 player count, peaking at 32,182 on launch, before climbing to 44,217 that weekend. So it's going to be very interesting to see what the number actually jumps to on the weekend for the Dark Ages. Hopefully it hits 50,000, that would be nice to see. But there's definitely a lot of people that aren't going to buy the game until Denuvo is removed, or until they can get a PC that can run it better, and that's completely understandable. So you can see here we have a comparison of the three games. Doom 2016 and the Dark Ages are very close, only about 2,000 apart, and then we have Doom Eternal over tripling both of these games. You can see the all-time peak for 2016 is 44,000 and Doom Eternal's is about 105,000, and we'll have to wait and see where Dark Ages sits here. It's worth noting there are a couple of serious mitigating factors this time around. Doom the Dark Ages is the first game in the series since Microsoft's mega acquisition of ZeniMax and all of its properties. This in turn means that it launched on Xbox Game Pass, unlike Doom Eternal. I swear Doom Eternal launched on Game Pass. Let me ask ChatGPT and see if that's true. Did Doom Eternal launch on Xbox Game Pass? Let's see. It became available on October 1st, 2020, and then came to Game Pass on December 3rd, 2020. Alright, so no, it was not a day one Game Pass launch, so I guess that could be a contributing factor, but I don't feel like it would be this much of a difference. I mean, we saw games like Stalker 2 launch on Game Pass and still get like 200,000 concurrent people on Steam. It's definitely an expensive game, and there's probably a lot of people that are just playing it in Game Pass until Denuvo gets removed. I don't know how many people that would be. Alongside this, Doom the Dark Ages launched on a Thursday versus Eternal, which launched on a Friday. A Friday launch is always likely to draw a larger player count as people finish work for the week and look to unwind with a late-night gaming session. In theory, despite the huge contrast with Eternal, Doom the Dark Ages Day 1 Steam player count should be nothing to worry about. There was likely a huge uptick in players on Game Pass, which ate into its Steam player numbers, but it will certainly be interesting to see how high things go over the weekend. I mean, I hope it does well. I would love to see another game in the Doom reboot series in my lifetime. I really don't want them to abandon this series. That would be honestly heartbreaking. I think the game will perform around what 2016 did, which I hope is good enough for the studio to make another game. I really enjoyed Dark Ages. Did you enjoy Dark Ages? Did you like Eternal better? Do you like 2016 better? Let me know. Anyway, that's gonna do it from me. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like. If you didn't like the video, you can leave a dislike. And yeah, I'm out.